that's kind of James Bond sound effects. Yeah, mission accomplished. So this is this was used by one of the churches in promoting OSL in their local church, and also we use that to promote in other churches. But other churches make their own promotional video. You can just short, okay? So we can promote OSL. The other video now, let's see the testimonies and the introduction made by Pastor Jerry Derman. This next video, the first speaker is Pastor Jerry Derman. And then the testimonies from his church, those who have graduated from OSL. Okay, so this one.
Our world is dissolving right before our very eyes.
My marriage was at a really bad point.
I was doing a lot of drugs, a lot of drinking.
I was over 200 pounds for over 25 years of my life.
I hated who I was. I hated people around me. We tried to talk stuff out, which would normally turn into arguments.
I was surrounded by failures everywhere I looked in my life and doubt.
I had lost my joy. I had lost the contact.
I found out my mom was murdered. With that tragedy, I turned to drugs and alcohol and any place I could to find love. My life began to crumble.
What Jesus implemented way back at the beginning of his ministry, something called discipleship. It is truly the way that people's lives are changed dramatically. Operation Solid Lives is a multi-layered system that can take anyone from a new believer or even an unbeliever and disciple them in the faith.
I started learning about the true God of the Bible.
I had learned the value of listening accurately to the Word of God.
It's helped me have a lifestyle of putting God first.
Really gave me a lot of the discipline that I needed to have a relationship with God and fellowship with God.
When I encountered Jesus' love from his word, it's like it came alive to me.
God's love reflected in me and it came out.
Operation Solid Lives is something that for my life clicked me into place.
Discipleship is what takes us from just a commitment to Christ to the fruitful life in Christ. He wants to untangle you from all of these things in this world that keep you from being the person that he's called you to be.
It freed me. It freed me.
The rebellion, anger, hatred, everything fell off. God's taught me how to be a parent. God just restored my relationship with my little boy.
We just seen maturity in ourselves, individually maturity in our relationship. We are going to be able to see the purpose that he has for my life and for our marriage.
God did work in my heart, and that changed my body. They say there's a light in your eyes that you didn't have before.
I used to blame God for everything. Now it's like, I thank God for everything. And I'm never going back to that place.
That was like being born again.
Jesus said, if you abide in my word, you will be my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Okay, so those are testimonies from Pastor Jerry's church. We also use that video to promote OSL in the churches. We give copies of this video to the churches so that they can use it to invite people to join OSL. And so the next video is the testimonies of those who have graduated and tasted the benefit from the OSL in the Philippines. So please watch the testimony from the Philippines.
It's not only the Word of God, but what is the reflection of it in every word that you will read.
More than just a discipleship program, I believe that it is also an encounter with Jesus.
As a pastor, usually I have this pride. Going to the basics, discipline, usually is not acceptable to pastors with so much experience. It has disciplined me to memorize verses again, and as a pastor, that is so crucial.
My life, Christ Jesus, knowing Him becomes deeper and deeper.
The Operation Solid Life has very much fixed our marriage.
I saw how God put into light all those things in my heart, matters in my character that are not in accordance to His plan. It was Him who changed me from the inside.
It created a stronger foundation. It taught me how to be a disciplined Christian, not just a decent woman, but a new creation.
And to be grounded in the Word of God, and at the same time to tell others. Because once a member is spiritually mature, then he has that boldness to share to others. He is not comforted to being within his comfort zone.
I was able to experience and taste what it is like to be a true disciple of Christ.
I became more zealous in my ministry, more committed in the ministry that God have given me.
Having my experience in Operation Solid Lives has helped me live out what I say, practice what I preach, and the things I do, reading the Bible, memorizing verses, is not really just about obligation now. You do it out of love for God.
The more that you deepen yourself in the Lord, the more you will come to know Him, the more you will come to know yourself, the more you will come to know your purpose, why you're here, who you really are, and what God made you for.
So these are the testimonies from those who have graduated from in the Philippines. We observed from our graduates in the Philippines that the spiritual passion really increases, and that they have this meaningful relationship with the Lord. Not only the passion, spiritual passion, but their service and the way they do ministry is really impacted by what they have experienced from OSL. So we can really say that from the testimonies we have heard, OSL really is effective in bringing transformation and changes to people's lives. So that's why we are encouraging all the churches in the Philippines to really try to consider of adapting. Though some of them are waiting for the translation of the materials into Tagalog, we ask them to start with those who can use the materials in English, because the memberships there in the Philippines, some of them can understand English, and in fact most of them. And so we encourage the pastors not to affect those who can use the materials in English while waiting for the Tagalog, because the time is running, and this is something that should be, there's a sense of urgency for discipleship to take place in every church that we have. And so that's why we are so excited of allowing this discipleship system to share to other churches. And so tonight, let us prepare ourselves for the training of group leaders. You will consider yourself and right now as if you are your group leader. You're a group leader, and you will be leading groups, students, boys. So let's begin with a group leader. you have all your handouts, right? The manual. Okay, so as I present this to you and as we have the discussion, just feel free to raise your hand and ask some clarification, because sometimes I have difficulty of elaborating more. Okay, so a group leader of OSL. Okay, as I said last night, that a group leader of OSL his role is more of encouragement and motivation of his students. So it says that a group leader will encourage and care for a small group of students. They meet one-on-one with their students during each session. So this is very personal. It's a personal one-on-one and one-on-one touch with the students, as well as bring each of the students or bring your students together for a time of group discussion. And group leaders also can call their students during the week to encourage them and pray for them. So not only during the class session, a group leader will encourage his or her students, but during the week, a group leader would call his or her students to follow them up, to see if they're having struggles of doing their devotions or whatever, okay, or if they are having difficulties of listening to the audio. So you as a group leader, you have to do some follow-ups. You can do by texting or call or FB. It's okay. Any kind of communication that you can make, just to let your students know that you care for them and that you are really interested in their progress. So that's it. So requirements for a group leader. A group leader must have graduated from the level in which they lead. So this is not applicable at the very beginning, because again, as we have said last night, that you don't have graduates from level 1 yet. So the very first level 1 class that you have is that you will be using a group leader that is not graduate of level 1. That's only for the very first class that you will have. So you will just ask those group leaders to have a dual function. He would function as a group leader, but at the same time, he is a student. So you might be asking questions like, so who would do the checking of his workbook? And who will check these group leaders? Well, that's the role of the instructor. All group leaders will report to the instructor. The instructor will serve as the group leader of the group leaders. Just only in the very first class that you will have. Because the next time around, sorry, is there something? I'm not doing anything. Okay, so the next time around, that's not the case anymore. You will be appointing group leaders, those that have been graduated from the level that they would be leading. Okay, so we cannot do anything about that at the very first class that you will have. Everybody in the group, in the leadership of OSL, is also a student. Your instructor, if you are the instructor, you as the instructor is also a student. You as the facilitator is also a student. Everyone is a student. But at the same time, a leadership team during the very first class of OSL. Okay, so next is a group leader must complete the group leader training. So this is what we're doing right now. So anybody that you would want to appoint as group leader, make sure that that person or those group leaders that you would like to appoint undergo the group leader training. No one can be a group leader in OSL without having the training, because that is very important. The role of group leader is very critical in the success of Operation Solid Lives. Next is that a group leader must be an example as a disciple, because he has students in his team who would be looking up to him as an example. So he must be an example. Another thing is that a group leader must also have his daily Bible reading, journaling, and prayer. In other words, what you are requiring from your students, you are also doing. You are also doing. Like, for example, if your students are journaling, the group leaders must also be doing their journaling, prayer, and Bible reading. Godly lifestyle. Walk in love, faith, unity, and biblical authority, following Jesus Christ, your leaders, and to the word of the Lord. Attend church weekly, and also refuse to communicate personal information, suspicions, or issues about a student to anyone except your leader. Your leader, as a group leader, your leader is the instructor. So any issues or any information you receive or you heard from your students should not be divulged to anybody else except to your leader, to the instructor, so that you can preserve the confidentiality, so that the trust of your students with you will not be marred. So you refuse to communicate. Summary of responsibilities. Okay, yes. No, I mean the leader of group leaders. Except your leader. Meaning, as group leaders, you can share confidential matters of your students only to your instructor, because the instructor is your leader, as you are group leader yourself. So you report, because it is the instructor who has the responsibility to deal any issue, any problem regarding the student. So he's the right person to communicate and to share with. Summary of responsibilities: attend each session, and you have to arrive earlier than your students. Of course, that's expected, because you are a group leader. You have to arrive earlier than your students, so that when your students arrive, you can warmly welcome them, and that they will be encouraged to see you in the room. That should be expected, because as a group leader, you are an example. Another one is you check each student's work individually. So that's the time of when the time of the checking comes. You have to check their work, their assignments individually. Okay. Anyway, we will be doing that tomorrow, so you will have a first look of that. Lead a group discussion about the Faith Builders teachings. During the group discussion, you as a group leader, you will facilitate the group discussion. And in that group discussion, you are not allowed to preach. You are not allowed to teach. You are just there to facilitate and to make sure that everybody in your group has the time of sharing what he has learned from the audio teachings. The group discussion, the item or the lessons or the material for the group discussion is the Faith Builders audio, the audio teaching. Is it good if you just use my microphone? Yes. Sorry. Yeah, sorry for that. Maybe it's the battery problem. Number one. Check. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, there is kind of entertaining. Yeah, at the in the Philippines is always says.
Maybe it's student.
Yeah, there is a guideline here. It's in here. We'll be looking into that also. So you in the group discussion as a group leader, you facilitate. You will give each student time to share. You are only given 20 minutes in a group discussion, so you divide You divide that 20 minutes among your students. So if you have 20 minutes and there's 5 of you, because it includes you, you also would share what you have learned or understand from the audio that they have listened to during that week. Okay, so there's 5 of you. And after that group discussion, you still have, you need a couple of minutes for prayer, group prayer. So you might give, you might divide that into 3 minutes per person. So 3 times 5, that's 15 minutes. Okay, 3 to 3.5 minutes or to 4 minutes. And the remaining minutes that you have is for prayer. After everyone has been able to share, you might be the last one to share your testimony of what you have learned from the teaching. After that, you conclude your group discussion with prayer. Okay, so it is really important that everybody has able to share what he has learned, because that's very important. And if there's somebody in the group that is consuming all the time, you have to have a way of how to turn the table to another person. And yeah, so we'll go into that later. So lead a group discussion about Faith Builders teachings. Call each student weekly and be available to your students via email or phone. That's what I've said. And then pray for your students daily. The role of a group leader is really like a small pastor. You're like a pastor to your small flock of people. So you really care for them wholeheartedly. You really have to serve them and to help them grow in the Lord. Your role as a group leader is just like a role of a shepherd. That you are there you're a disciple maker. So you are there to help them grow in the Lord, grow in the Word, and for them to have a meaningful experience while undergoing the process. You as a group leader could mean a lot to your students. So you pray daily for your students. You follow up with all student drops, even those who have dropped from the course or from the class. You still have to follow up, because even though they have dropped, you are still his or her group leader. Okay? So next is, let's go to before and during the class. If there's no question, are there questions about the responsibilities and the duties of the group leader? No? Now let's proceed before and during the class. So what do you do as a group leader before and during the class? No one can encourage others to take OSL like those of you who have already experienced the life-changing power of OSL. We ask that you weekly invite others to an upcoming OSL class or share your OSL experience. This is what you can do as a group leader in your personal life. Before the class, you can share your OSL experience to someone else, and you can follow up your students. Let's say, for example, this is the last day of the week, and tomorrow is the next meeting or the next class. By this time, you have to follow up your students, making sure that they are ready for the meeting tomorrow, and that everything is all set, and they are ready for everything that will be checked out tomorrow. Now, the social media. Try using social media to invite and promote OSL. For example, you may choose to post pictures of your group celebrating victories on Instagram. So, as a group leader, you may want to use social media to promote your experiences within your group, so that but as a group leader, you are encouraging others to join OSL. That OSL really is something that is needed by individual Christians. So you might want to make a hashtag name on Facebook, like OSL Experience, the testimonies, like hashtags, or insight, or experience, or victories, or changes, or adjustments, anything that would attract people to join OSL later on for the next class. So let's go to page number 2, Orientation Week. This is what you will do as a group leader during the Orientation Week or the Orientation Day. You will be assigned a group of 4 or 5, depending upon the need or the number of students. But as I said, the idea is 4. You will meet these students at the orientation session. So first meeting is the orientation day. So what you will do during the orientation, you will welcome warmly, okay, your students, introduce yourself, and have them introduce themselves to the group. So in the orientation day, you will be given a time. As a group leader, you will be given a time to meet your students, and that will be the first time you will be meeting your students. So you don't know yet their names if they are from other churches. But if you are from the same church, you may know everyone in your group. But however, that's the case, that you will be given a time to meet personally for the first time your group members, and you have to welcome them warmly, and you have to be glad and happy to have them as your group members. And you will introduce yourself, and you will allow each one to introduce themselves in the group. And then there should be an exchange of contact numbers, like phone numbers or telephone numbers, so that each of your students can connect to you, can contact you if there's a need for them, if they want some advices. And also you can connect with your students. So there will be an exchange of information, and you will have your initial sharing within the group, and your topic at that initial, because it's orientation day, you will still have a group discussion on that orientation day, but your discussion will not be based on the faith builders or the audio, because they have not listened to the audio. This is orientation day. So your discussion would be about what is their expectation. You will be asking each one of your students, what is your expectation in this OSL class? So you will allow each one to share their expectations. So that will be the discussions. after getting the contact information. And then briefly, you will share your experience. So to add more to the fire that they have in their hearts, you will share your OSL experience. This is for the case that you are already a graduate from level 1, but if you are also a student this time at the same time, you don't have any experience yet, so this one will not apply at the very first class of OSL. Questions? As a group leader, you will answer any question that arise from orientation. Make sure students are aware that they need to provide their own notebook in order to journal. So each student, aside from the workbook that they have, this booklet, we call it student's workbook. Aside from that, each student is required to have their own personal notebook. Why? For the notes, where they can make their journal, their daily journal, Bible reading and devotion journal, and the sermon notes, and the class notes, and the faith builders notes, the teachings from the CD or the PD. So make sure that they have this notebook and take notes on the faith builder class and sermon notes. Okay, and then you will end your group meeting, that first meeting, with prayer. You will pray over your group members. Okay, so this is what happens during the first meeting at the orientation day or week. First week calls. Let's talk about the first week calls to be made by group leaders. Please call your students within 24 hours after the orientation. Okay? So after the orientation, within that 24 hours, your students must have received a communication from you. Okay? Maybe appreciating them that for the decision that they have made to be to be a disciple of the Lord, to undergo the process, or encouraging him or her to really be inspired of what had transpired during the orientation or about OSL. So anything that you can share to your students, allowing them to know that you are really interested with them as a person, not just about OSL. Weekly sessions. Please note that this first call that you will make set the tone for your ongoing interaction, because you have 4 weeks to go, and this first call within the 24 hours will really make a message to your students that you are you are somebody that can be trusted upon, and can that you are somebody that can really help him or her in his progress or her progress of the OSL. So be personable and be willing to get to know your students. Ask them questions and be interested. If they feel cared for in this call, they will likely be more responsive for future calls that you will make. Call your students one more time towards the end of the week before the next class begins. So our suggestions is that you make 3 calls within the week, at least. If not every day, at least 3 times a week. First, right after the meeting that had happened, let's say for example, this is the meeting day, and after the class they will go home.